Feeling pretty grateful in the new year to have connected with my guest, a guy who has really given his soul to the music and served the music. He recognized early on that nothing is above the music, and most importantly, he has continued to inspire legions of instrumental musicians to find their own individual sound on their apparatus. Jimmy Haslip, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Hey, thanks again for bringing me back.
No, it's great. I just wanted to start. Can you talk about how you wound up connecting with Crosby, Stills, and Nash?
Sure. You know that was
Because
for me.
I mean, honestly, that those like the albums, I started to really dig in. I mean, I was looking at your discography, especially when you first got out to California, and I was like, that's like some of my favorite. I mean, CSN is just some of my favorite records that you were on. I don't think I even realized it until now. So go ahead.
Well, um, one of the first gigs I got when I came here, aside from working with, as we talked before about Carmine Appice, I I I also met Mark Stein, who was the keyboard player with the Vanilla Fudge and the lead singer. And I did some recording with him. This was really early on when I was just getting settled here in Los Angeles, and I still really wasn't sure I was going to stick around. I was kind of missing New York,
Sure.
but I I was interested in what was going on here in Los Angeles, so I hooked up with Mark and we did some recording, and then Mark enjoyed working with me, and at one point he called me. I remember this is kind of a long story, but I'll try to.
No, but I want to hear
Uh, I was looking, I was just getting going here, and I was looking around for some gigs, hooking up with some people, doing a few little sessions here and there. This was 1975, 76.
it. Right. You came, and I want to be clear. You had come from the Bay Area.
No, actually,
Yeah.
we didn't get to all that. So after I left the Bay Area, I went back to New York for a little while.
Right.
So I was there for a couple of years in the Bay Area. Went back to New York. I played in this top 40 band for a little while. And then I got called away from there from a drummer that I had jammed with in Huntington, Long Island. Um, he was in New Orleans, of all places, and he was in a band, and they were getting rid of their bass player for whatever reason, and he told them that they should get me down there to do these gigs.
Oh, this is
So
classic.
I said okay. So they sent me a plane ticket. I flew from New York down to New Orleans. Yeah, I hooked up with these guys, drummer Stuart Shaw, a singer by the he was going by the name of Mitch Mitchell, although it had nothing to do with Jimi Hendrix. And there was a guitar player down there named Phil Brown. So, and he was from New Mexico. So we learned a bunch of tunes, and we did these gigs. That's a really long story, but I'll make that short so we can cut to the.
Yeah, no, this is great. I mean, I want to be clear. Like, this was this a punk band or what was kind of what kind of band was this?
It was rock. We were
It was rock. It
learning.
was rock. So it wasn't like
Yeah,
you. I mean, you were not. Um, I mean, what was sick about that time is that I mean, you could go to the nightcap and see the Neville Brothers, or
oh yeah,
I mean, the Meters were actually still playing. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, this is ridiculous. Go ahead.
yeah. So I got to see the Meters. I
Like the '70s meet. I mean, you were talking like the
70, 73,
Oh
74.
my God, dude, that is insane.
Yeah, so yeah, and I saw Alan
Yeah.
Toussaint somewhere in a club. I saw um
You didn't see like were you like that into it to see like Willie T and the Gators or like
I didn't see those guys, but they were around.
they were around? Like what
Yep.
about I mean what about like Johnny Vidakovich? Like I mean he's a dear friend. I don't know if you are hip to that cat, but that
I am hip to that cat because in the recent years, in the
yeah.
last couple of years, well, even before COVID, I produced a saxophonist who lives in New York, but he's originally from New Orleans, and he just did a record. I produced two records for this guy. His name is Randy Despommier, and
Wow.
and he lives in New York. He's great. I did um, one like full record. He had a band, so I helped him with that. I even played on a couple of tracks as a
And
guest.
Johnny was Johnny on that record or something?
No,
Yeah.
but just about a year ago, Randy called me from New York. He said I had an idea. I'm going to do this. He said, I can't hire you as a producer, but would you mind if I call you for some, advice and some consulting? And I said, no, call me anytime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so the record's called South, and he did a big portion of the record in New Orleans, and Bogdanovich played on the record.
Oh,
Uh,
that's yeah. I'm
yeah.
just sort of envisioning like obviously you were you had your own responsibilities with the rock band, but I was like, I cannot imagine New Orleans in 1974. Or Bogalusa or all that like that whole vibe
Yeah.
because I've done about 19 interviews with Johnny and like the Playboy Club was hopping. I mean, not that it was. I mean, it wasn't. There was obviously seminal moments from that city years earlier. It's just all the original kind of cats were still around.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even Professor Longhair was
Yeah, that's
around.
what I was gonna say. I mean, you
Yeah.
probably. I mean, he would play with the Congo player Alfred Roberts and stuff. I mean, it was just
That's right.
insane. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then I saw a version of the Preservation Hall jazz band. All
Oh
that.
my.
Yeah, it was just filled with culture, and I flew in from New York. I just spent a couple of years in San Francisco in the early
Which was
'70s.
also a crazy. I mean, that was even. I
That's
mean,
crazy too.
I mean, it's crazy. They even the few years after the Summer of Love was crazy, and then I mean, were you didn't? I mean, even though it was kind of a secret culture, I mean, were you hip to the Wild Chupatulas or the Wild
Oh yeah,
Magnolias? Oh, but you
absolutely.
just fell into a vat of chocolate here.
I got to see most of all that. Even
Yeah.
I mean, funeral dirges.
Oh
Uh,
my
yeah,
God.
it's just standing on the street watching
Oh,
that.
bless you. I mean, you
Yeah,
got it, man. And
yeah,
here you are. You're playing rock music, right? I
yeah. I
mean,
was
yeah,
like Hendrix tunes, mostly covers. Early Fleetwood Mac.
right, right.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Uh, so and it was a good band, and we had some gigs, a bunch of gigs, and we were traveling around. I mean, I not just New Orleans, but there was a steady gig we had for a little while on the West Bank, which was a whole nother area of New Orleans. But then we were getting gigs like up in Monroe, which is near Arkansas. Um, we ended up playing in Shreveport. Uh, Played in Baton Rouge. We even did a gig down in Homa, which is
Yeah. Oh man, dude. I know.
yeah.
I don't know if you ever crossed paths with this guy, but he's one of the greatest country funk rock drummers I've ever heard. And I did is a guy named Carl Himmel. Uh,
I heard that name, but I
yeah,
didn't.
no, Willie Nelson, Neil. I mean, the dude is so underrated, and he's from his whole origin started in Homa with Mac Rebenak. I mean, it's so insane. Um, but you didn't. The point was, it wasn't like you were going on the Chitlin circuit or going to Tampa or like you
No,
know George. You weren't. You were just staying in the state.
in the state, and the only thing we did some gigs in Dallas of all places. We ended
Wow.
up going out there and doing some gigs because the singer had some hookups with people, so They would bring us in to play. We even played in Biloxi, Mississippi. So
I also want to be clear. I mean, the point is just because my friend. I mean, I'm 47, but my friends that are cooking the groove here, trying to tour. I just want. I mean, in the 70s. I mean, not that you were going on 2 week Mountain West tours or the Southeast, but the point is there was no merch table. I mean,
no,
you were getting paid
yeah,
for the
cash,
gig, and
cash.
they'd probably put you up and feed you.
Yeah, they put us in little motels or whatever, gave us food.
Yeah.
And, the food down there was a whole nother experience,
Oh my
eating,
God.
Cajun
Yeah,
cuisine.
no, I mean
Yeah.
Toussaint. I mean I interviewed this cat. I interviewed Toussaint too, but I didn't realize that there was a cat that worked with him pretty closely, and they'd show up at 10 in the morning, and he had a woman at CSaint making cornbread and ham
Mm.
hocks, and I mean you were eating, man. It was part of the whole vibe, you know.
It was part of the whole vibe. The funny thing with me, too, is, when I lived in San Francisco area and up in Gurneyville and all that,
Yeah,
uh, I became a vegetarian. So,
that was kind of the hip thing to do at that time, you
yeah,
know. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it was somewhat of a challenge at times to eat what I could eat when I was living in New Orleans, but I figured it out. It was not really a big problem. It was just
I don't
something.
know how you. I mean, back then it would be that would
It
be
was
you
difficult.
depriving yourself of a lot of food, you know. But
I
I mean,
did. Yeah, I did
geez.
deprive myself, but I was just a little skinny rock and roll guy. So didn't matter. It didn't matter. And I was there for the music.
Yeah, sure.
So but it was interesting to be around all that culture at that age.
Especially
So
at that time.
yeah,
Especially, it is so super. It is so commercial. I don't even know what the right word is. It's so, uh, just knowing how. Again, it wasn't even at that time though. It was pretty ruthless. I mean, because I've interviewed guys that were descendants of, well, Bo Dallas's son,
wow.
and I've interviewed Monk Boudreaux, and like those cats were killing each other back then. Like they were murdering each other, and at a certain point, it was like, guys, let's work together. So it was a rough. It
It
was
was a
not.
rough
It was
neighborhood.
rough.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of really. It wasn't all the fantasy that's in my head, but the music and the culture, and if was just resonating everywhere. And it was a pretty, I don't know. I mean, freaking Merle Haggard told me he was in the hole. He was arrested 12 times before,
Oh
and
my
he was still
God.
making hit records. I mean, he was still making hit records, you know?
Unbelievable.
We weren't as punitive as society. I mean, I guess people kind of put it was like vigilante justice in some way. Anyway,
Right.
go ahead. Yeah, yeah,
Wow. And I even had a little experience with that. I mean, it
yeah.
was, uh, this guitar player and I had to hitchhike from New Orleans up to Natchitoches.
Oh dear.
Yeah, which
But
is
you had to
Natchitoches.
run in with the Klan or something?
No, we got one of the rides we got was in a pickup truck, right? And so we jumped in the back with our
Yeah, this is out
guitars.
of a movie, dude.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so we're driving down these country roads, and I noticed the guy in the passenger seat had been shot.
Oh my God. He's just nursing the wound as you get
Yeah,
up there.
and so we're going like, holy shit. So,
Dude, I'm
uh,
telling you, man, like there were cats that I've interviewed, like when they were driving across the state, if they were in a mixed race band, there'd be like Klan bookstores set up on the side of the road, and they would yell at them, and then they came. I mean, there's one harrowing story where they literally it was like out of Mississippi Burning. They get pulled over.
yeah,
They put a thing on the top of the car like they were a cop, tied them up by the side of the road. It was just like that was still going on in the
yeah,
70s, you know?
it was. It
Yeah.
was. Hey, it was still going on in the '80s.
It was definitely still going on in the early 80s.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
So I mean the band ultimately though, I mean the music ran its course with this band.
yeah, yeah. We got gigs. When we got up to Natchitoches to play, um, we made it safe and sound.
Yeah, I mean the guy's like dying. You're like, yeah, thanks for the ride, you know.
Yeah. So we get up there and we do the gig, and it was in a private, like a private members only kind of club called the Phoenix Club in downtown Natchitoches. Natchitoches was the first place where that's where the Louisiana Purchase
Oh,
was,
damn.
so it had that's where it was. I'm assuming that's where it was. Uh,
Consummated. Yeah.
yeah, consummated is the right word.
Yeah.
And so the downtown area of Natchitoches looked like the French Quarter.
Wow. And
It
back then it was really that must have been so hip.
Yeah, it was like
Holy
a
cow.
smaller version of the French Quarter because the French Quarter is quite vast.
I mean, just to put it in perspective, I mean, literally when I interviewed George Porter, they were they were doing their original ridiculous tunes at that time, and they
Yes.
were also covering like Stephen Stills tunes. That's
Oh
how sick
wow.
it was so hip, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, the music was. I mean, but also so there must have been just it must have been Music Row too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So these guys that own this private members only club, they were sons of state senators,
Right.
and they really loved what we did, so they had us up there a bunch of times. Then they actually decided to like try to manage us. So they were putting us up in these houses up there in Natchitoches.
How do you
Uh,
spell that word? How do you spell that?
it looks like Natchitoches. So it's Chitouches.
I have never. Wow, that is crazy. Okay.
But it's pronounced by the locals as Natchitoches.
All right, I'll work on that.
Yeah, and actually, the reason we got that gig was because that lead singer, whose stage name was Mitch
Mitch Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
connected.
he was connected with these folks, and I believe he lived right outside of Natchitoches in a house with his wife. That's
Wow.
how I figured that out. So I ended up spending a lot of time there. But we were everywhere, as I mentioned. Alexandria, mentioned Shreveport, Monroe. Uh,
Did you get it? Did you get out to? You never made it out to studio in the country in Bogalusa.
we didn't make it out there.
Yeah,
No.
that was a special place, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would imagine so. But
Yeah.
I spent most of the couple of years I was down there in New Orleans proper.
Did you have a chance? I mean, at that time, were um, you were clearly like, you know, you had been like marinating in all types of music for decades.
Yes.
Obviously, but I mean, I'm
Well,
just gonna.
I was about 20. I don't know how old was I.
So I
Maybe.
just I want to throw out a few names here because your sort of um legacy, if that's the right word, started to build later than this.
Oh
But
yeah.
the guys that I'm curious about, like Alfonso Johnson,
Oh yeah.
Stanley Clark, like were you already sort of
I was
aware? Yeah.
I was aware of them and listening to them. I was a big fan of Weather Report, and I was a big fan of Return to Forever, the first record, with Bill Connors.
Oh,
So
I mean, dude, the first Return to Forever record with Airto on drums is insane.
yeah,
But I guess what I was trying to say is like their approach, especially like a lot of people, Jaco, obviously, I mean, he was with Wayne Cochran first, I mean, he was, everyone obsesses about Jaco, but I mean, that rhythm section in the mid 70s with Weather Report, Alfonso and Chester Thompson, I mean, you cannot, were you aware of how they were sort of redefining the instrument?
oh yeah, and I
Yeah.
saw them live.
You saw that version live.
Yes,
Oh, God.
yeah.
With Alex Acuna, yeah.
Actually, no, Alex was. I saw him with Dom Ramon.
Oh my God! Wait, you didn't because you know who was in the band for about 10 days, but he was so great is Greg Rico from Sly.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
he he
That's
he
right. I
he and
heard
he and
that.
Dom would set up. Dom had a little jazz kit, and then Rico had his big kit. I mean, it was like I'll send you. There's a couple of clips online that are so ridiculous, but
Yeah.
he was tight with his own. Anyway, I mean, from your perspective, were you able to incorporate the electric bass as a I don't want to say a solo instrument, but as its own voice within more traditional rock settings at that
Yeah.
time? Yeah.
I think I as far as that's concerned, I was just trying to learn tunes. I wasn't extremely focused on, you know, a singular voice.
Right. Right.
Although I was listening to these guys, and I was shedding, as they say, all kinds of music. So I was developing my chops to play these kinds of things. But the band that I was playing with in New Orleans was a basic kind of rock band. We were doing Hendrix tunes like Fire and Purple Haze, and stuff that people could dance to, but in a rock setting.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is? I guess maybe the better question is, I remember one of my interviews with Michael Shreve. I mean, he talked about going to Winterland or
Oh yeah,
Fillmore West or something, and he saw the Mahavishnu, and Cobham was just coming on the scene, and his power just threw everybody up against the wall. But Shreve was said this is the kind of thing I wanted you to talk about, especially for younger cats, because Shreve said he realized right then and there, he's like, I'm never going to be that, but I'm going to be myself.
right.
Because I mean, there were drummers. I interviewed the drummer from Loggins and Musina, Merle Briganti. He's a great guy, still doing his thing. And they're in the Boston Common and 71, 72, and they're popular, and they play a great, they play their set, the whole crowd's nuts, and he's feeling all great, and he goes back to the soundboard, and he sees this band walk up on stage. They're like, in white rags, and they're college t-shirts. He's like, what is this? And Cobham played to the heavens, and Merle literally went back to Los Angeles and was ready to quit music. And I think Milt Holland or Larry Bone, I think Milt Holland told him, he said, man, you're never going to be Billy Cobham, and Billy Cobham's never going to be you.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
right.
just when you were seeing these monsters playing Stanley, I mean, you weren't. It didn't depress you. I
No,
just would love you to talk about how you approached it from your own, because today it's always about who's the best. I don't know how we got into this whole thing, but it's like who's the
I,
best, who's the best. It's all like it's always like everybody brings something to the table.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that was it. I knew these guys were incredible. I
Yeah.
was inspired by
Yeah.
it. I wasn't threatened by it. I just thought I love playing music, and I'm gonna practice, and I'm gonna try to get better, and that's it.
And it wasn't like you were trying to be like an acolyte of theirs. Like you were like, I'm
No,
just gonna like I'm inspired by it, but because there was a lot of Cobham sort of you could tell people that were trying to be like that, which was never going to happen.
no.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were inspired by it.
Yeah.
Some people did, get into that realm. I mean, I play with a drummer now from Budapest who's ridiculous.
Oh my, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, there were cats who were felt they were like literally they became defeated by it. It was just
Yeah, right,
it was
right.
hard.
That yeah, and that's what a lot. I know a lot of guys that went through that, but
Exactly. Right.
everybody's got their voice and their own way of doing things. I've played with guys, like Vinny Colaiuta. Okay, so he's phenomenal, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, I loved playing with, Carlos Vega or Jeff Beccaro too.
Dude, I mean, though, dude, Vega was so under the. I mean, the other thing is like it just it was so beautiful at that time because we weren't interconnected. People weren't visually just sort of locked in. They were your ears were open, and it just felt like um, there was an opportunity to be yourself.
Yeah,
It
that's
wasn't
it.
about a clone. It wasn't you? They weren't. The cloning thing is very hard today.
Yeah,
Just yeah.
it is. Yeah, and look, I love playing with Carmine Appice, and that's
Yeah.
a whole nother thing.
I mean, he's a pounder, dude. He's
Yeah,
unbelievable. He's ridiculous, dude. But no, I
yeah,
mean, it's. Anyway, I don't want to get too veer off here.
yeah. That's okay.
Yeah,
So we'll get back
yeah.
and
All right. So the continue on. The band eventually dissolved in New
yeah,
Orleans.
dissolved. And uh, these guys that I told you about that were sons of state senators, they're the ones that actually got us connected with Carmine Appice, who I'd already brushed shoulders with in New York.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
You saw him live. You never really like played. Had you already played with him?
yeah, I jammed with him at his house. He had a house in Cold Spring Harbor.
This is Long Island everywhere, dude.
Yeah, yeah. So I jammed with him at his house. This was before I ended up in New Orleans. But then you know,
Right, right.
then I met him again in New Orleans, and he said, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm trying to make a living."
Right.
But he gave me his phone number, and he said, "Just call me when come to L.A. and call me, and I'll hook you up with some stuff."
Right.
Right. So this guitar player, Phil Brown, who was in this rock band, was very good, and we decided to go to Los Angeles. So we rented the guys from New Orleans, the state senator guys, the sons. They rented us a car, and we drove. Phil and I drove to Los Angeles from New Orleans, and when we got to L.A., I called Carmine. He put us up for a little while until we got settled, and then he brought his brother Vinny Appice out to play with us because Carmine was committed. He was in a band called KGB at the time.
It was like Barry Goldberg and those
Yeah,
guys. Yeah, yeah.
Ray Kennedy was in that
Right.
band. Um, so anyway, from there, uh, I did some gigs. I think the first real gig that I got when I was in LA after hooking up with this guy Phil, Carmine hooked us up with management. So that's yet another little thing I'll tell you about.
Sure.
Carmine hooks us up with Cavallo, Ruffalo, and Farnoli. They happen to manage Weather Report, um, Prince, and Little Feat, and Earth, Wind, and Fire. So they put us in a little rehearsal room to do showcases, trying to get us a deal.
Wow.
And lo and behold, we're in this rehearsal hall, and next door rehearsing, there's two rooms. We're in the small room, the big rooms next door, and in the big room, Weather Report's rehearsing. So
Oh my God.
I snuck in there, and that's right when Jaco was learning the repertoire
Right.
to
It was like 76 kind of range or 77.
75.
75. 75. He was our. I thought because
Yeah,
I thought that. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
he, he was rehearsing to do the Black Market tour.
Oh my God. So this wasn't this. This was in L.A. This wasn't up at Caribou Ranch, was it? This
No,
was
this was in Los Angeles,
okay.
right?
Okay. Wow.
Right in town. So I go in there and I'm thinking I'm going to see Alfonso Johnson, um, and Chester Thompson, but all of a sudden I see Alex Acuna on drums, some other guy on percussion who ended up being Manolo Badrena,
Yeah.
and some long haired dude playing bass who blew my mind. And I'm going,
So that
so,
was your first time, like, see, that was your first encounter with Jocko.
yeah. So I go up to one of the road crew guys that was standing around. I go, who's his bass player? He said, some new guy. His name is Jocko something.
Oh my God. No, because I read the other cat that I just connected with, done about 4 interviews with, and he broke down the whole story of Black Market was Chester. And there
Right.
was this miscommunication about I can't bring the story up right now, but it's just like it was a very weird. But anyway, that is I can't believe that was you were there just shedding with these cats and
Yeah, these cats trying to get a deal with Cavallo Ruffalo.
unbelievable.
In fact, we had just done that day we had just done a showcase for Clive Davis.
He was everywhere at that time, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
yeah,
guys from Country Rock. See, I mean, he was freaking everywhere, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, uh, so anyway, from there, I'll try to make this short because then I'm moving on to. You asked me about Crosby, Stills.
Yeah, but we're
We're
cool.
getting there.
We got more chapters.
We're,
It's fine.
we're,
Yeah,
and we're getting there. So,
yeah, we're
so
doing all
anyway,
right.
I'm blown away by this guy, Jaco something.
He's already just like ripping it. He's already
Oh,
just he's in full
yeah,
Jocko form.
yeah. It was full blast Jaco, on fire, and they're playing, tunes from Black Market, So I'm going like, who the hell is this guy? So the guys, we were done rehearsing and the showcase and all that, and everybody was going back to this band house that was in South Hollywood. And I said, well, I'm going to hang here. I got to meet this guy.
Oh yeah.
So, sure, I hang out in this lobby of this rehearsal place, and sure enough, out this door comes Jocko and Alex Acuna. Um, And so I just walk up to him and I go, look, I don't know who you are, but do you give lessons?
That's awesome, man.
And
I
he,
freaking love Alex so much. I love Alex too. That is so. What did he say? What
well,
did
he
he,
said, yeah. And I said, great. I said, when can we start? And
that's amazing, man.
he goes, look,
What was it specifically that really about? I don't care about the facility or technique. Was it just what was it about his approach or that really inspired you to want to even take lessons?
oh, well, first of all, he had tons of chops, but it was just a beautiful sound,
Yeah, that's
He
right.
was,
Yeah.
he was playing his Fender fretless, so
Right. It was just this beautiful, it just cut through everything.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I was playing a Fender. I had a Fender P bass myself. So
Wow.
so so he goes, yeah, I can give you some lessons, and I said, great. And he goes, hey, are you hungry? He goes, we're going to get something to eat. Do you want to come with us? I went, sure. So,
Oh, this is
but
such a great,
here's
this is the greatest story of all time.
but it gets really crazy, the whole thing. So we end up going to this Mexican restaurant, which is kind of a famous place here in LA. It was called El Coyote.
Is it still around?
It's still there. Yeah,
Ah, El
I don't know,
Coyote. This is great, man.
I don't know if it's got the same kitchen as it used to have, but it's still there. You can see it.
Yeah, there's a lot of debauchery there, I'm sure. Yeah.
so so we get in the restaurant. We're sitting in a booth, and I'm just talking to Jocko about whatever, music, whatever. And then he goes, hey, I just finished my first solo record. You want to hear something? And I said, sure. So that was back in the day when there was just
Oh,
Walkmans,
dude, are you kidding me, dude? I lived on
yeah.
a Walkman for decades, dude. Yeah,
So
yeah.
he puts the phones on my head, and
I
he
love it.
presses play. First thing I hear is Donna Lee from
No
his first
way.
record.
I want to be clear. Did that record ever come out originally? But he already had a record under his own name as a leader before he joined Weather Report.
He had the record, but it wasn't released yet.
Wow. Okay. All right. And then okay, so you were listening to like uh,
Him playing Donna Lee with Don Elias on Kungas.
I mean, this is absurd.
And
This is
I'm
absurd.
just blown away. Like I never heard anything like it before.
Oh my God, dude.
So I listened to the whole thing and I look at him and I go, "Well, that's unbelievable." And
Yep.
he laughed. And then so we eat a bunch of food. We continue our conversation. We get in the car. We end up. I find out he's staying in a hotel. Now this is a really kind of crazy thing. He's staying in a hotel on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Los Angeles, and I literally was house sitting a keyboard player's house that was 4 blocks away from the hotel, so I
So
could walk.
you were not staying at the band house that at
No,
that time. Yeah, you were
no,
house sitting. Yeah.
because we jammed with a bunch of people. One guy I jammed with in a whole group of musicians. because there was a lot of that going on in town here.
Oh yeah, yeah. It
So
was still it was still rocking. You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the guy became friends with was a guy named Rock Grace. Do you know who that is?
Oh, I've never heard that name.
Yeah, Rock Grace was the organist in Joe Walsh's Barnstorm.
Wow, that's
so
fucking cool.
so at one point, right before I was doing all these showcases with this band, which was called Adventure, that was the name of the band. Um, he said, "Hey, I'm going out. I'm going out with Joe Walsh for a month. If you're interested, I need somebody to house sit my house. Would you be interested?" I said, "Sure." So I was house sitting Rock Grace's house, which was 4 blocks away from the Tropicana Hotel on Santa Monica Boulevard, and that's where they put Jaco and Alex. Well, they put them all up there.
Yeah, they had just found they had Alex had just been discovered in Zawinul found him in Vegas. That's
Yeah, they
yeah.
which is a whole nother.
I know. No,
Yeah,
so you're telling right away it was like you could just walk over for lessons.
yeah, that's what I did for about a week and a half.
No way.
Yeah, yeah,
This is like prime time stuff right here, dude.
yeah. And nobody knew who this guy was, but I was hanging with him, and he was showing me some stuff, and we were talking about stuff, and he actually was kind of interested the fact that I played upside down and all that, but we had a ball, and he was in good shape.
Right. It
Um,
was before he had really kind of
yeah,
ascended into everybody
yeah.
else,
He
I
was
guess.
he was married, and he had a little girl.
Hmm.
That was Mary. And he was married to Tracy at the time. Portrait of Tracy.
Right, right, exactly.
So all that happens, and then he goes off and goes on tour with Weather Report. Okay, so um, then uh, uh, right around then, I get a call. I was playing with a bunch of guys in a bar just to make some money. Right,
Sure.
it was a motorcycle bar.
Damn.
So there was this gang that hung out there called the Heathens. It was out in Venice Beach. So I was playing in this bar with those guys, and of course I get a phone call on the bar's payphone, and it's Mark Stein, and um, Mark says, um, "Yeah, I'm playing with this guy, and he's looking for a bass player now. You want to come and audition?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And it was Tommy Bolin. So
Oh my God.
so I went to SIR. I auditioned. I got the gig, and then I toured with Tommy. Right,
This was uh
1970. Now we're going into early 1976.
so was Narda on drums or somebody else was on drums?
Narda had just left, and
Right,
so
Reggie McBride had just left.
he just left. So the interim drummer was Tommy's brother, Johnny.
Wow.
And I went out and did a bunch of dates with that group. But Johnny, a few of the people that were in the band, like Norma Jean Bell and Mark Stein,
Right.
they wanted to get a different drummer. So um, funny enough, I had just ran into well, I went to see Jean-Luc Ponty at a club here,
Right.
and they were touring behind this record that I loved called Imaginary Voyage. So I met Daryl Sturmer and because I went there with Carmine. Carmine was interested in that. He was interested in progressive music.
Absolutely.
So we went and we met Mark Cranny.
Wow.
And then so while I'm playing with Tommy Bolin, he calls a rehearsal because we're going to go out and do a bunch of dates, and there's a different drum set at the rehearsal. I'm going like, gee, I guess they made a change. And it was Mark Cranny. So
Wow.
Mark Cranny joined the Tommy Bolin band, and then of course, we went out on tour for about a month or so, and then Tommy died.
This is right. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, but that was your kind of first domestic tour. I mean, in the sense of like going across the country and
Yeah,
yeah.
that was it because prior to that, there was a gig I did about I don't know, it was about 6 weeks of gigs. A friend of mine got me into that, and it was Harvey Mandel.
How did you? Yeah. How did you originally meet Harvey?
Well, that was through this drummer that I worked with.
That was up in Guinerville.
No, no,
No.
that was in L.A. So
Oh,
in '75, I was playing with this group Adventure, trying to get a deal with Cavallo, Ruffalo, and Farnoli. I met Jaco, but I needed to make some money, so I was doing these little gigs around town. And then this drummer friend of mine, who later went on to play with uh, Alice Cooper, uh,
right.
he goes, uh, you know, you know who Harvey Mandel is? Yeah. He goes, well, he's looking for a bass player. You want to audition? I said, sure. So I went and auditioned. I got the gig. And we did some gigs up in Northern California. And then we latched on to a package tour where we went from like Montreal, Toronto, all the way across Canada, doing these big venues. Like
Who else was on the bill?
it was Harvey Mandel's band, and the headliner was Jeff Beck and the On Hammer Group.
Incredible.
Yeah. So we did that tour all the way across the entire country of Canada, all the way to Victoria Island, right across Calgary,
Beautiful. Yeah,
yeah,
beautiful.
Ottawa.
Hopefully it was in the spring or the summer.
It was, yeah. Well, I think it was kind of in the spring. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I came back from that, and then got back together with Phil and trying to do stuff with Adventure. That's when I met Jaco.
Right. Then you wind up on, did Bolin die on tour or was it after?
Yes,
He
he
did?
he did. Yeah,
So what, I mean, what would that is
oh, that was crazy, and that was,
that's like a Jimi Hendrix kind of thing.
yeah, and that was pretty insane because we had just started a second leg of the tour in Miami, and we were opening. We were going to do a bunch of dates, like 5 or 6 dates, opening for Jeff Beck and the On Hammer Group.
That's crazy. So
So
this was,
what?
I want to be clear, the Mandel Festival tour was before this.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
before I was 75. So 76 was Tommy Bolin.
So you already knew Jeff and Jan though. I mean, you were on tour with them.
I knew Jan
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, Jan, and because Jan took a liking to me because he said I looked like um, Doug Roush.
Doggy Roush, dude.
He said I looked like him.
Right. So he dug, and so you were gonna reconnect with them, and then Tommy. What can you describe that whole like for you what that was? I mean, that is a surreal
That's sure.
situation.
Yeah. So now I'm getting to the Crosby, Stills and
That's
Nash.
fine. Yeah, whatever. No, it
Yeah.
was just I mean, unbeknownst to me, when I looked at your early discography, that at least seems like it's one of the first records that you were actually on. I could be
Yeah.
wrong about that.
Well, the Tommy Bolin. Oh, the Crosby, Stills and Nash thing. Yes,
Yeah,
that was
yeah. I'm just not touring or playing, but like actually,
no.
like on a record where you're credited on the back.
Yes, that was my first real, like,
It was right. It
in
was the real
quotation.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had done a lot of sessions, but nothing like that.
So yeah. So Bolin dies. Take it from there.
Yeah. So Tommy dies, then, and that was tragic. We had just done a concert in Miami, opening for Jeff Beck and the On Hammer Group. That night, Tommy OD'd, and the next morning we were shuffled off out of the hotel. into a car and flown back to Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
A few days later, I got a call from Tommy's people, and they asked if I would be a pallbearer at his funeral in Sioux City, Iowa. And I said yes. And so I got flown to Sioux City, Iowa, and I attended Tommy's funeral, and I was a pallbearer. I carried him to his final resting place, which was, you know, uh, what can I say? It was one of the saddest days I've experienced at that time in my life. Uh, yeah, I just met his family a few weeks prior to that, so that was
And
a
I mean, he was sort of, I mean, he was really at the, I hate that word success, but he was at the top of his game too, you
oh yeah.
know? Yeah,
Well, look, he had quite an interesting resume himself. He had,
he did.
I was, in fact, I knew of Tommy way before I got the gig because I was a fan of Zephyr.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah,
the couple, one album is, there's one album that I love, and then obviously it's just like that freaking
Hmm.
Stratus with Lee Sklar on that Cobham on
Yeah,
the Spectrum. So
Spectrum. Yeah,
ridiculous, dude. Yeah,
yeah. So I was hip to him
yeah,
from Billy Cobham's
right,
first solo record,
right.
and also I even before that I was hip to him when he took Joe Walsh's place in James Gang. So
Wow.
um,
I wasn't into that.
yeah,
That's so yeah. So it was he had already had a resume, but like I mean,
and he was playing with Deep Purple.
he had real gigs and stuff. You know, he had
Yeah,
real tours. You know.
yeah, and he was at the time that we were on the road. He was on a break from working with Deep Purple. Yeah, so
Right. Right.
which was a small world too, because when I was hanging out with Carmine early on, I went to a party and it was at Richie Blackmore's house.
Oh my God, man. Yeah, I mean that's so beautiful that I haven't. I got to send you my interview with Carmine. I mean that I haven't thought about. I mean, it was just so beautiful. Also, the thing about LA in '76, this is how insane. I mean, it was like it was. I remember Kaliuda in our interview. He told me he was driving down, you know, the freeway in LA, and the billboards would have Stanley Clark's School Days on
That's
it.
right.
I mean, like literally, it wasn't like call this law firm if you get in a car accident for litigation. It was like
No,
Stanley Clark School Days. Like
yeah, that was on a
music
billboard.
dictated the culture, man.
Yeah, it was chock full of stuff. There was all kinds of stuff going on here. So
So you went to the funeral was up in the Midwest,
yeah,
very
and
sad,
very
and
sad.
then
So I'm in a you know like uh like a church banquet room, where the family set up some food. There was a gathering there.
sure.
Um, so not being hungry, I just kind of sat in the corner with a cup of coffee because it was early in the morning, and I was just it was sad. It was a
Oh
sad
my
day.
God, yeah, horrible.
So I get approached by this guy. He comes up to me. I don't know who he is, but he goes, "Hey, excuse me, but you're the bass player." He said. So I go, "Well, yeah, I was playing bass with Tommy." And he goes, "Listen, I got to go, but can I get your number?" So I thought that was odd, but okay.
He didn't
So
even tell you his name. He's just like, "Can I
no,
get your?" Yeah.
he probably thought I recognized him, but I didn't.
Okay.
But I scratched my name down on a piece of paper and I give it to him. And he goes, "Look, I'll give you a call." So he walks away. And when I see him walking away, I see him leaving with Joe Walsh,
Wow.
who was at the funeral as well.
Wow.
So, which is that's a beautiful thing right there. Joe came to the funeral. But I'm going like, okay, who the heck was that? So I asked a few people. I said, "You saw that guy with Joe Walsh? Who was that?" And they go, "Oh, that's Joe Vitale."
Dude, my hero, dude. freaking love Vitaly
Yeah,
so much, dude. Because I got so inspired that Haslip was playing with CSN in the studio that I went back and looked at some of the live shows from '77 because like Kunkel and Sklar, those guys are off with Jackson Brown, and I was like, I'm like, did Haslip tour live with them? And
yeah,
it was Chocolate Perry, you know?
yeah. It was Chocolate Perry,
Yeah.
and so I think what was going on then was they were having a bit of a feud with Chocolate.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, and they needed to finish some recordings. So Vitaly took the lead and got my number and brought me to the studio with the guys. So
Hold on a second. See, so there was a little bit. It was I'm blanking here. So it was Chocolate Perry, Vitaly. I saw the show from the Summit in Houston, and Craig Durkee was on keyboards. But you're saying Chocolate was having a feud with them, and then
yeah,
Vitaly was like, I'm gonna do some talent scouting at the Bolin funeral. I'll grab Haslip's number, and we'll bring him in.
yeah, that's what happened.
This
And
is unreal, dude.
so
This is
I end up in at the record.
Tommy Bolin, always the conduit, dude.
He was. Yeah, to this day, I feel like he got me the gig.
He did. No, I mean, dude, there's no way with his spirit that he was going to let down any of the accompanists that had to go through this waking up in the morning after a great gig and then being escorted out on a plane because you just found
Oh,
out your band leader OD'd. I mean, that is not that. So anyway,
that was really great.
that's a beautiful way to go. That's a beautiful
Yeah,
story. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there you go. And the guy that I really connected with, Joe was there, but I ended up really connecting with Graham Nash.
Great
So
cat, man. Great
yeah,
cat. Yeah.
yeah. So I did the session. They paid me, and some months later, whatever it was, it used to be that way. But
I want
uh,
to be clear. I want to be clear. It was not, they were operating on such a, this wasn't like a local 502 gig. This wasn't a union gig.
well, it did. It went through the union, so that they made me fill out a W-2 and
But you're
yeah,
telling me that I mean, I would have thought that that would have been available because I know that, I mean, I've talked to engineers that, where David owed them like, tens of thousands of dollars. But you're
yeah,
telling
a
me
lot
that
of money.
the union,
Oh, did I
uh,
lose you?
are you still there? We're
I
going through
think
a
I
little pause.
lost you
Can you?
there.
No, no, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hang on.
Yeah, you still there?
You want to call me back? Oh,
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah. No, we go through these little blips
Yeah,
here.
that's okay. Yeah, so it
But
was.
in general, and you didn't have to wait normally that long for a union check, did you? Or you did
Yeah,
have?
that was usually the protocol. You do a session, and it'd be a couple of months before the record company sent out check down.
Because I thought, okay, that's interesting to know. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Yeah,
yeah. So I was a member of 802. Well, actually,
locally.
yeah. That 802 was New York,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Yeah,
802 was Bob Cranshaw used to tell me about that.
yeah. So, uh, yeah, I was a member of the union here. So,
Was it 502 maybe? I don't know.
I can't even remember.
Yeah.
I'm officially retired from the musicians union.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
even
with
though I'm
you.
still working,
I'm with you.
yeah. So,
Those sessions though, that being that they what was the aesthetic? Were they was the rhythm section in the same room with maybe
yes,
minimal baffles or no separation? Or because I
yeah,
mean, it
yeah,
got to a point with studio work where, I mean, because I've interviewed Louis Shelton, Dean Parks, uh, you know, a lot of these early session guys, Keltner, where literally there was a lot of good leakage. It was
yeah,
everybody in the same room. There was no ISO booths.
right, yeah.
What was going on in that I think it was a
Same deal.
Deja Vu, yeah.
Yeah, it was like setting up and playing like a gig, So
That's so cool.
yeah, there was no worry about leakage or anything like that. Just play and have a good time, and make some music.
Right, right, right. But I mean, the takes that you or the cuts that you were on. I mean, it was maybe first or second take, and everybody was hitting at the same, or maybe the vocals came later or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
vocals came later. It was just all instrumental. They
Yeah.
teach me there's no charts or anything.
What
They
tunes?
just,
What tunes were you on, by the way?
well, the one I remember was a song called "Carry On,"
Yeah.
and then I played on a few other tunes, and I think they uh, if my memory serves me right, a couple of these other tunes ended up on the subsequent records. So
You're absolutely right. No, because so far is like, I mean, I played that. It's my most iconic record for my daughters, and that you're on that too, on a few tracks. It's
yeah,
that's from '82.
yes. So they used whatever we did that day. They used it
Interesting,
all.
interesting, interesting. So how did that work? I mean, eventually the record company cut you another check in
Yeah,
'80. Yeah,
yeah. Got
that's
another
funny. That's funny.
like a year later.
Yeah, that's great.
So it was an interesting thing. Crosby wasn't really available for that session.
He was beginning. That was the beginning of his of the going into the abyss. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
mean, it was such. Did you realize how? I mean, of course you realized it. I mean, um, just were you? Did you stop and like sort of uh, see that there was so many of your friends were becoming roadkill, or just you
yeah,
know? And
yeah,
did you figure out a way to sort of preserve yourself? Everybody was partying back then. I mean, it was just part of the deal.
that was part of the deal. Yeah,
And there was just so much. Like I said, we were a less punitive society. If you might have spent a couple days in the slammer, even you could. I mean, you could rehabilitate your career.
right.
I mean, like I said, Merle Haggard, even before Reagan expunged his record, he was arrested 12 times and was still making records.
That's unbelievable.
So that, I mean, again, he was a star, but I'm just saying
Yeah,
that, like, today, you sneeze the wrong way, you're going into it. You don't even know where you're going.
yeah. Who
It's
knows? Might end up,
exactly.
might end up in Costa Rica.
I'm serious, dude. You might go off to, God forbid, you go to Venezuela or so. I mean, who
Yeah.
knows where you're going, dude? I'm just saying,
What?
like, it was. Did you have some kind of spiritual practice or faith, or did you find a way to to stay sane just because just think about even, the direct experience with Bolin, and then you're seeing people that you were iconic, like Crosby, disintegrating before, there's not
Yeah,
available, and it's
yeah.
just
He
like,
was. He wasn't there. He was locked in the bathroom.
oh,
So I
it's just like,
saw.
I don't want to be that.
No, no. Then I hung with Stills, but mostly I was getting attention from Graham Nash. He was running the session.
Of
Um,
course. And you were hanging with Vitaly.
Holly was hanging, and they were smoking some serious pot. I know, I
I
know.
mean, whatever. I mean, weed is weed.
Yeah,
But it's just like, I mean, it's like the freebasing and
oh
the
yeah,
cocaine. I mean, that shit is just.
that's that.
Did Bolin die from a speedball or something? What, he was just.
Well, yeah. From what I understand, he was doing something and he mistook it for cocaine, I guess, but it was really heroin or morphine or something else.
And he just overdid it. All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, there was, but this was like, and what was the studio they were at?
The record plant.
And they just had it booked out for days at a time, or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think they had it block booked, and they were just trying to get stuff recorded and
Yeah,
get.
while David was in the bathroom 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and that was their first reunion record.
That's right.
Yeah,
Because there was a bunch of Crosby Nash stuff, and Stills
right.
went on his own, and that's right. So, I love that record, Deja Vu. It's a good record. Yeah,
That's a great record. That's a
great
great
record. Just a
with,
song before I go.
with
Yeah.
with Greg Reeves on bass.
That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, right.
yeah. So I was blown away to get a call to do that, out of the blue in a way. Well, and what happened after that was kind of wild because
Yeah.
it's a year after I met Jaco, and then I got a chance to audition for Flora Purim and Airto, and I ended up touring with them and opening for Weather Report with Jaco. On
No way, dude. Hold on for a second. So Flora and Airto, because they were up at Fantasy Records.
Yeah, but they were hanging here in
Of course they were hanging there. Yeah.
with George Duke. That's how I got to audition.
That's the and there now we all get back to
To
our dear friend,
yeah,
the engineer who connected us. And I can't now I'm
yeah,
spacing.
Eric Zobler. Yeah,
Zobler,
but
dude.
but
Westlake, yeah.
yeah, but Zobler wasn't part of George's thing in that point.
Right. It was a little before. It was pre-Zobler.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you get? What was the conduit between you and Flora and Airto?
So, I had become friends with Narda,
Of
Michael Mulcahy.
course. Yeah, my
And,
God, a dear friend, a good friend. I love that cat, man.
so he asked me to come to SIR to help him audition some musicians for a possible tour. And I said, okay. So I ended up down there,
Wow.
and
So I just want to be clear. There were because Dolph Remp, the SIR you're talking about is LA because there was an
yeah,
SIR for San Fran too.
yes, there was.
Yeah,
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 this is the Los Angeles.
yeah, yeah. Did you
Uh,
ever go to Narda's house in Long Island or Sri Chip? I mean,
no,
like, okay, because that was. And did you ever cross paths with Pat Thrall?
no, I didn't, but
You remind me so much. I mean, I did some anyway. I'm because
I know
Narda's just
who that is.
in.
Yeah,
What's that?
I know who Pat Thrall is.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, yeah. So anyway, Narda said potential band. Let's cook the groove and rehearse a little bit.
Yes. So, um, and one of the ones I remember the most was a young, like an 18-year-old guitar player that came to audition, and it was Steve Lukather
Oh, that was like he was fresh out of high school.
out of high school.
Oh my God.
And he sounded great. But that day, I remember that day specifically because, I met Lukather when he was just out of high school, and he was playing great. And Narda was playing drums, I was playing bass. And while we're playing some tunes, this guy wanders into the room, and he's looking at us, and and then Narda stops playing and goes, "Hey man, what's happening?" And the guy goes, "Can I play?" And Narda goes, "Yeah, come on up here." So the guy gets on the drum set,
Wow.
and Narda moves over to a B3 because he
Whoa.
played keyboards
You,
too.
dude, you are dropping some knowledge here, dude.
So we start jamming again, and the guy on the drum set now is looking at me, and he's making these incredible faces, like, "Who is this guy?"
Right, right, right.
We stopped playing, and he goes, "Listen, man, you want to come down? You got to come with me down the hall here." So I go, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Ndugu."
Holy cow,
Leon.
man.
So,
No, my dear, I mean, dude, I'll always treasure my time with I met him at uh, the Coffee Bean, one of
oh wow,
the chain in LA.
yeah,
He at the time I didn't realize he had I think
he,
he had cancer, but I mean he
yeah,
was I mean, dude, that dude was playing with Alice Coltrane and Hampton Hawes. I've
he
never
played
heard
the weather
drumming.
report.
Oh no, I mean, if you the a lot of people don't realize Hampton Hawes the last guy that JFK pardoned was Hampton Hawes,
Wow.
and he got out of jail, and then in the early '70s he made an album called Universe, and it to this day, and Dugu, I've just never heard somebody play such insane fusion. And I know he's everywhere. He was with Santana. He did
Oh
everything. But
yeah,
I can't believe so. And Dougal comes in, and next thing you know, you're down the hall with him,
yeah.
and
He
you're just
brings
wailing.
he brings me into another room, and in that room is George Duke.
Oh man. What year is this?
This is 1977.
Dude, so much has happened to you since you moved to LA, man.
Yeah, well, that's good. I, I I had reservations about being here at the time because it was culture shock, and
Sure.
I probably need to just go back to New York, but things just kept happening. So
Plus, also New York was actually really on the downslide then. I mean, it was not. It was the glory days of New York. There was still
still
loft
stuff.
scenes.
Yeah, there was
I
still
mean,
stuff. There was a jingle scene going on.
there
So
were no. You could have just LA was just still. I mean,
it
things
was
really. This is what I want to talk to you about in set three because we're going to have to do set three.
okay.
Because Ernie Watts told me something, and I'll have to bring up the quote. But what I want to focus with you next is just because the sequencer and the synthesizer
I
and
came.
the drum machine came in. This is before I know Ndugu and George. It was like right before that, and
Yeah,
like Ernie Watts said that they literally, I mean, Harvey Mason and Gadsden and those guys were getting paid based on the chips that they had, the grooves they had, and then every instrument that could be emulated by a synthesizer was, so that by at a certain point, Ernie Watts was the only you couldn't really emulate copy a saxophone.
no,
So
no,
but he just said by '82 the entire scene just completely changed and not for the better. I mean, just in general, it's like there was just less communal jamming, less opportunity for people. The whole thing became automated, in a lot of ways.
right. Yeah, technology took over at that time. Yeah,
So anyway, I want to finish with Duke though. So you walk in there, Duke's in there.
yeah, and so he said, "Let's play." So we played.
You knew him from Cannonball or Zappa
No,
already?
no, this first meeting. First,
Whoa, you were not aware of him.
well, I was aware of him. I loved his playing with Zappa and
So you knew I was gonna say you knew him with Cannon, but with Zappa because
with
that's
Cannonball. I knew him with Cannonball. There's a live
yeah.
troubadour record.
Oh my God, dude, Mike Dacey on guitar, dude, my favorite record ever. The Black Messiah, dude.
yeah,
Favorite record ever, dude.
Roy McCurdy on drums.
McCurdy and Booker and
Yeah,
Airto and Buck Clark. Are you
right.
kidding me?
Yeah. So
Freaking ridiculous.
I was hip to all that. Yeah, of course. And of
Oh
course,
my God.
I was hip to the Zappa connection too, so
But that was the miracle thing is that in 1 year, I mean, Duke's playing with Cannon and Frank. It's insane.
right, right. So I end up jamming with them, with Ndugu and George. And Icarus Johnson was in the room. So
Oh wow.
I
One of
met
the
him.
brothers Johnson, one of the brothers, yeah.
No, he's Charles Icarus Johnson is just some white guy that plays his ass. I played with Stanley Clark.
Holy shit! I don't know who that's insane.
Yeah,
So they were like George was just it was just like all these like he
he
was just surrounded by synths and
yeah
ARP synths and
yeah.
and and wow.
They're in a room with he had a whole giant pile of synthesizers and stuff, and then Dougal had his drums there, and this guy Icarus was there, and they were waiting. They were rehearsing some stuff, and they were expecting any day that their bass player would arrive from Detroit. Who, um,
Was it
uh,
Byron Miller or something?
yes, Byron
Yes.
Miller was on his way there to join that band.
That dude's nasty too.
Yeah, he's fantastic. So
Ridiculous.
we jammed. I think Ndugu was just like enthralled with me and wanted to jam with me and George. So that's what we did. And then George was so cool. He came up because, man, you sound really good. Because unfortunately, we already got a bass player, but I know somebody that's looking for a bass player. And so here, call this number and set up an audition there.
I,
And
I love this. This is so Zen mastery. Like he didn't tell you who. He just gave
no,
you the number.
he just
I
gave me,
freaking love. I mean, the first question that any of my generation or younger would say is, "Well, who is it?"
yeah, right.
And you didn't even ask that. You're like, "All right, I'll take the number. I'll call him." Yeah.
call him. Yeah, I figured
Yeah.
it was some sort of gig. So I called the number, and they said, "Okay, yeah, George told us about you. Come to this house," and they gave me an address, and come there, whatever, in a couple of days, whatever. They had a thing happening there. So I get there that day. I'm driving up this driveway, and there's a car already parked, and I see a guy taking drums out of the car. Right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going like, yeah, I wonder who that is. I had no clue who was in this house. It was a nice house, but I drive up, park, grab my guitar. They said, don't worry, there's an amp at this house, so you don't have to bring an amp. So I walk to the front door, and there's this
I want
guy.
to be clear though. You call up and it was like Ayrto's management, or you didn't even
Yeah,
still didn't you
I don't
didn't.
know who it was. Somebody answered the phone and gave me the whole lowdown with the directions to the
But they
house.
didn't tell you. They still didn't tell you who it was.
No.
This is funny, man. This is funny.
So I get there and I see the guy with the drums, and I go, "Hi, how you doing?" And because he said, "My name is Ricky." It was Ricky Lawson.
Dude. Is he still with us, by the way?
No, he passed away.
Dude, dude, he came on my radar. I was watching some, because of Zobler, I was watching a lot of late 70s Duke with Byron Miller in the
Yeah,
studio, and
yeah, he was in that.
Lawson's crushing on those things,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he had quite a, as you would know, he had
yeah.
quite a career.
Massive, yeah. So
Yeah,
you're like, okay, man, nice to meet you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I walk into this living room. He's setting up the drums, and there's a bass amp there, and there's a Fender Rhodes. So I go, okay. So I plug in, I tune up, and looking over at him, and like, I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes, like a whole little group of people walk into the living room. And there's a woman, and she's smoking a joint,
Oh, I love it.
and I'm looking at him, and that looks familiar, but anyway. So the woman speaks out, and she goes, "Okay, play a funk groove." So it's just me and Ricky. It's no,
Oh my
yeah, it's just
God.
drums and bass. So I look over at the drummer, and we start playing some little funk groove, and he goes, "Okay, play a samba." So look over, and play a little samba groove, and then she goes, "Okay, you got the gig. We start rehearsing next week."
That is so you were actually at their house.
Yeah, and the lady was Flora Purim. So
Sure. No,
yeah.
actually, the cool thing, and this is, I have 5 books available on Amazon of interviews, and one of the interviews, Ayrto, it's still one of my favorite interviews because he talked about when he first came to the States a few years later when he was playing with Cannon, his visa status was up,
Oh,
and Canon became his sponsor to stay in the U.S.
well,
It was basically like, and Nat Adderley and management was like, "Don't do it. You don't know this guy at all," And Cannon's like, "I don't care. I like him,"
yeah,
and
help him.
he
Yeah.
yeah, well, he stayed on because it was like, he was able to say that, I mean, he had Cannon had a 5 record deal, and Ayrto could play on those records. But the point is that um it was one of those beautiful stories, and you look at today, and the just the awful mess of a
Oh,
situation that
yeah,
we have with immigration. And it just,
yeah,
back then, Cannonball Adderley was vouching for Ayrto. Otherwise, and by the late 70s, they were amazingly successful.
yeah.
So, without Cannon, none of that would have happened.
Right. That's right.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that and that relationship with Cannonball was how he ended up with Zonal, in the first Weather Report record. So
I
uh,
don't think I I don't think I knew that. I mean, Ayrto was because that first weather, well,
yeah,
that
that was
is
what
so the point is that who else was in the
the first Weather Report was. Alphonse Mouzon on drums with
that's right,
Ayer
not Return to Forever, weather, yeah, Ayrto was in the first weather
Weather
report
Report.
with Al Muzone,
You're right,
and yeah,
and Miroslav Vitos.
another, yeah, no, another friend. This is so insane. So I was gonna say after um you got the gig, when did you get the bag of tunes? Were you able to, did you shed at rehearsal or did you learn
Yeah.
them in advance? Yeah.
No, they told me what records to find the tunes because we have records and I think maybe cassettes were happening
So
then.
I want to be clear though. This is just for my own sake. I mean, you get the gig, but then it's on you to go buy the record at the store and listen to it.
Yeah, I had
But in theory, if you didn't have the records they
yeah,
wanted you to listen, you
yeah,
just go and pick them out.
yeah, go buy some records at Tower Records.
I love it. I freaking love it, dude. It's
So
so classy.
I had pretty much all of Flora's records.
Butterfly Dreams,
Yeah,
yeah,
all that. Yeah, it's
such good stuff.
yeah, even we did some Return to Forever stuff as well. So she
Sure, 500 miles high and
yeah,
stuff.
we said
Yeah.
that was on the list. So
Oh my, this is legend. And so I just want to, before we wrap set two, you went, did you was that the first time you went on like a world tour kind of thing? Did you go
well, it wasn't
overseas?
world because she. It wasn't a world tour because she could only tour in the U.S. because
Yeah, no, that's because I've done a bunch of interviews with Stanley. And
yeah,
when wait, I want to be hold on a second. Ayrto, you're telling me Ayrto was in the first Return to Forever. He was also in Weather Report too?
well, no, yes, he was
Because the story that Stanley said was uh that he was in Return to Forever. Him
right,
and Flora and Joe Farrell got busted with drugs at the
right,
airport, and they
right,
had legal stuff. So actually, Steve Gadd came in for a minute before Chick went out and hustled Lenny White away from Journey. That was so. Ayrton was in Return to Forever,
right.
but I, but
But he did the first Weather Report record. The
so you know who also did, and you brought up in the first interview was Ralph Towner was on that record.
Yeah, well, that was the second record. That was
Sing the Body Electric, yeah, Dance
right.
the Body.
So the first record was just called Weather Report, and it had Miroslav Vitos, Wayne Shorter, Joe Zawinul, Ayrto, and Alphonse Mouzon.
That is insane. I don't think I realized Ayrton was in Weather and Return. That's
Yes.
insane. I'm sorry. That's the most insane. Well, also like that's so freaking amazing.
Yeah,
So Flora was still dealing with the legal repercussions or whatever.
she
She
was.
couldn't leave. Yeah.
He couldn't leave the U.S. So we toured extensively all over the U.S. A lot of bus tours, some flights, but mostly on a bus. They just put it
Wow.
on a bus because I think they even wanted to stay out of airports.
Right. I mean, they probably were on. They were probably on the. Trying to stay low, and
Yeah,
yeah, they were worried about their own
yeah.
being
Oh,
deported or something.
exactly. So,
Jesus.
so we
So you were a standalone act, or would you share bills with people, or?
there was some gigs I that we did some festivals with Bob James.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so Bob James had his Tappan Z band.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude, that is with Richard T.
yeah, Richard T.
Oh my God, this is
Yeah,
so feel good, man.
yeah, yeah. So
But I mean, they didn't want to advertise too much because if word did get out and they wanted to keep it as DL as possible, which you
yeah,
could
yeah,
kind of do back then.
pretty much. But it was cool. We went everywhere. We went all from east to west coast.
From
All
Maine to
uh,
San Diego, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so it was a pretty extensive tour. It's like, a couple of months on the road.
Wow. On a
With that,
bus. Yeah,
and it was
that's like a Woody Herman tour right there.
exactly, and it was a cool band. It was, iconic trombone player Raul de Souza was
Yeah.
in the band. The keyboard player from Fingers, Ayrto's band, Ugo Fataruso,
Oh my God.
and there was this guy that Flora brought in from Uruguay as well, because Ugo was from Uruguay. Um, so this guy Ruben Rada, who was a songwriter singer, also played some percussion. Then it was Ricky Lawson and Ayrto on drums and percussion. They would swap. Ayrto would play drums on some stuff, and Ricky would play drums mostly on the funk stuff. And
Wow.
um,
Wow. Did any of this stuff ever get bootlegged, or is there ever a bootleg
I
release,
think
or
I think so. I don't have any copies of it.
but this is like roughly 78-ish,
No,
79-ish kind of
77.
77.
Yeah,
So but I mean, they had already cut a record at Fantasy with George and those cats,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Open your eyes.
Right. But that was, I'm thinking that there was also a live recording from Montreux, I think they did.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, they
And
were
so
on.
you were kind of like on you were riding the coattails of those record releases.
Yeah, that's what they were promoting all these records. And here's the crazy thing: towards the end of that tour, we did a gig in Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and it was kind of a residency. We were there for like 3 nights, right? Um,
Yeah, that's unheard of now, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Freaking
So
love it. Yeah.
we played this little club in Cincinnati for 3 nights, and of all things, this guy was in town doing some kind of master class thing at the University of Cincinnati, and he got wind that we were there, so he came every night and sat in with us, and that was Tom Scott.
Dude. It's like this whole, that's so freaking beautiful,
Yeah,
man.
and a gig came out of that for me because after the Flora Purim thing fell, you know, actually that band. There was one other guy in that band that I have a long term relationship with. I've produced 5 of his records now. It's a guitarist named Jeff Richmond,
Wow.
and
Wow.
he had just come out of Berkeley School at the time in '77.
Dude, Haslip, man. I mean, did you know Chuck DeMonico at all?
I met him, but I didn't
I
know
was
him.
gonna say because he played with Tom. I mean, he was
Yeah.
a great upright player.
Oh, fantastic!
Um,
I was a big fan. Yeah.
dude, we've been busting out 83 minutes, dude. Can we do set three maybe next week? Are you around, or is it what's
Yeah.
your week like? Yeah,
I have to look. Let's see.
yeah, sure.
Let me look at the calendar here. Next week, uh, looks like what am I doing? Well, Monday could work. I have a meeting around 1 o'clock though, but that's okay because we could do the.
Yeah, I mean, what you want to do uh like Monday around
We could do like 9 again. 9 8.
all right, let's do nine Pacific.
Yeah, nine
That
Pacific
works.
on Monday.
Set
Okay.
three. Dude. Yeah, we might break the Keltner record, dude. I don't know. We got to keep going here. 8 hours in with Keltner, dude. But no, I'm gonna send you a few interviews. I think it'll warm your heart because after 15 years, man, it's a high honor to connect with you. But all the stuff that this tapestry is just of music at this time was just uncanny and will never be repeated, man. It just was
No,
magic.
it was quite an experience to be here in the mid '70s, all through the '80s.
But just like the catalyst of Carmen
Carmine,
of Carmine of
he,
that
he,
first connection in Cold Spring Harbor, and then everything else just sort of ignites from there.
yeah, he,
Not that there wasn't all this other great stuff, but it's just like that. Then you go to the Bayou, and then you go to LA. It's just the whole thing. But I mean, a lot of doors were potentially open for you, and you could choose to walk through them
yeah,
based on that original connection. Which it's just cool because the musicians had a lot of power back then, and the ability to work with companies to get people jobs or opportunities, get them in the door. And there was just a lot of jamming and people could meet. And, we're just kind of ISO'd off now and there's really no studio scene. Most people have home studios. So it's just
that's that's
the
it.
anonymity of it all is just kind of, you had, back in the early 70s, Byron Berline was playing fiddle for, Rolling Stones records. It was insane.
Yeah, and I even have a connection with that, but we can talk.
Yeah, we will. We'll do. I'm sure we'll go somewhere else
And just
next
so
week.
you just so
Yeah,
you know, I'm still in touch with Carmine. I just did a session for him and a video. I'm in a I'm going to be in a video with Carmine for a
freaking
single.
love this stuff, dude. No,
Uh,
dude, because I mean that I did that. I did my interview with Carmine maybe 10 years ago.
oh
So
wow,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean this is pretty intense. I'm gonna send
yeah.
you a few interviews. You'll be cracking up. I'm sure we're because we did a deep dive into his early years, and I haven't really ever gone back and really listened to the interview, but I know it was really good. So I it's you're gonna
Oh,
dig it.
Carmine's great. He's really great.
Awesome.
All
All right,
right.
man. Have a great weekend, man. I'll talk to
Yeah,
you
you
Monday.
too. We'll see you Monday. You send me another link, right?
You got it, man.
Okay.
All right,
See.
be cool, brother.
Take care now.
Later, man.
Bye bye.